And here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. The governor signs off on a deal to support a controversial power line, but the question, what's in it for Maine?
And how have these slushy, rainy, and icy snowstorms we've had all season impacted the plow business? I talked to a driver who gives me the details.
And we'll introduce you to a Maine woman who wants to give back to some doctors who were able to recognize a rare condition in her son, which ultimately helped save his life. This is News Center Now.
Central Maine Power's controversial power line proposal gets support from the governor. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. During her campaign, Governor Janet Mills expressed some skepticism about the $950 million CMP project. Today, though, she signed a deal to support the plan that would build a power line through western Maine, carrying electricity from Quebec to Massachusetts.
What's in it for Maine? A question asked by many. The project now includes a $258 million payout to the state over the next 40 years. That's said to help Maine in several ways, including to lower electric bills, chip away at our carbon footprint, and upgrade fiber optic broadband in areas that need it. We will have much more on this story throughout the next 90 minutes on News Center Maine.
295 southbound will be closed tonight starting about 9 o'clock. So an empty tractor trailer that slid off the road and landed in the mud flats in Portland can be removed. Traffic was backed up for hours this morning after the tractor trailer broke through the guardrail and went sliding down an embankment at mile marker 9. Public safety spokesman Steve McCausland says the road closure is expected to last somewhere between 2 and 3 hours.
The response and animal care teams, part of Marine Mammals of Maine, are busier than they usually are this time of year. In just the first 2 months of the year, they've responded to 70 reports of stranded seals. During the same time last year, they only responded to 9. The latest response happened Wednesday when a seal found a cozy spot to take a nap inside a boat in Ogunquit. Last summer, hundreds of dead seals washed ashore in Maine, and it remained a mystery until experts determined phocine distemper virus was the cause.
Remember the old Wendy's advertising campaign, "Where's the beef?" when you couldn't find the hamburger?
Yeah.
So I felt about the snow today. I woke up and I'm like, what happened?
It was tolerable.
Where'd it go? Today was great.
It was
like snowstorms like this all day. Let's go.
We were saying like 2 inches.
Yeah, I mean, this
no
is
big
perfect.
Deals.
Yeah.
Light,
no
fluffy,
big deal.
easy.
We got another one though for Sunday. Don't get too excited, Lee. All right, here's what we got going on right now. The storm moved out fast, and it was sunny and nice for the afternoon in most spots. A couple of snow showers now moving back into the mountains, picking up another inch or so of snow there. Of course, for the most part, welcoming it into Rumford, Rangeley, and up into Bethel and Kingfield as well. Now, overnight tonight, those snow showers died down. We got 2 nice days before we get to our next storm system. I tend to jump ahead and skip the nice days, but that's not fair because tomorrow is bright and it's in the upper 30s by the afternoon. And with the new snowpack, a lot of sunshine. It's kind of a reflective day, so sunglass day there. Then Saturday is nice as well. We start with a lot of sunshine on Saturday into the low 20s, and then get into the mid, maybe upper 30s by Saturday afternoon. A little bit more cloud cover starts to roll in on Saturday night, and then here comes our next storm system, early morning hours on Sunday. This is a much larger storm system as far as moisture goes, but it's also a more complicated one as the rain-snow line will play a huge role. Guys, going to take an early shot at some snowfall numbers here in just a few minutes.
I picked 0.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
Probably not. I took a shot. All right, so the hallmark of this winter has been kind of those middling storms. You got snow, you got rain, you got sleet, and just sludge. It has made for some ugly morning commutes.
But how has it impacted the plow industry, the snow removal industry in Maine? Cameron O'Brien spoke to a man who owns his own landscaping company in Portland, and she's here with us to shed some more light on this.
Guys, you would think less snow meant less work for plow drivers, but that's actually far from the case. Knight has snow plowing down to a science.
We have a system to notify the tenants.
But in his entire career in landscape and maintenance,
will be our 14th year in business.
This winter,
it's, I think, one for the records.
That's a good thing, right? Wrong.
This year has been especially challenging since none of the storms are pure snow. Last week we got 8 inches of snow with a bunch of rain on top of it. The snow was very heavy. It took 3 times as long if it was just powdery snow. So it's more fuel, more wear and tear, more labor in that aspect.
And to make things worse,
every storm's been a morning commute type of storm, so you're under the gun to make sure a lot's plowed for a business. This controls the plow.
While the quality of this year's storms have been questionable, the quantity boosts the bottom line. Dylan says the industry standard in Maine is to be paid by the storm or by the number of storms per season.
A lot of our contracts have a capped amount, so if they reach that, then it's going to require the customer to pay extra.
So all in all, it's shaping up to be a good winter for plow drivers in the Pine Tree State.
It's kind of like just a video game. You get used to it.
But that doesn't make the work any less draining.
Every winter is always good for business in a way, but the work's never fun during it. I mean, if every storm was powdery snow, it wouldn't be so bad.
So the money thing's kind of a double-edged sword. They're making a fair amount of money, but Dylan tells me he has to go out and spend that money on extra salt and fixing up his car because of all of the wear and tear from these kind of middling storms. That's my only word for it, is That's all I got.
Sums it up.
I think that's scientific. That's good. All right, Kim, thank you. Ask Now, online fundraising. We certainly hear a lot about GoFundMe, but how do we tell which campaigns are for real and which ones are actually fraud? That's what viewer Karen Grant wanted to know. She
writes, in this day and age of internet scams, how do we tell the difference? So to start, anyone can create a campaign on the for-profit crowdfunding website. It's up to individual donors to verify if the campaign is legit or not, and there are a few things we can look for. There should be a clear description of how the campaign organizer is related to the recipient of the funds and how funds will be used. You can also look to see if direct relatives and friends of the organizer are donating and leaving supportive comments. That's a good sign. The president of Maine's Philanthropy Center offers some advice as well.
The things that people can think about is, one, to just ask lots of questions if there's that opportunity with the page, and or think about looking at GoFundMe that are things that are close to home that they might be able to verify more.
According to a GoFundMe spokesperson, there are multiple processes in place to verify the identity of campaign organizers and the beneficiary of the campaign. In Maine, fraudulent GoFundMe accounts don't appear to be a big problem, actually. The Attorney General's office has only received 4 calls about that since GoFundMe launched nearly a decade ago.
All right, a huge breakthrough in a murder case from 6 years ago, thanks to some unbelievably amazing discoveries, and our own amazing Shannon Moss is here to tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. We've been working on it for quite a while, as I know, Lee. Lindsay, you know, you've been listening to me. But Margarita Fincinco Scott was murdered 6 years ago, last month, and her body was discovered in a car, but the problem was she had been in there for months. So it created a challenge for police and evidence technicians to try to figure out what happened. They knew she wasn't murdered in that car, so where was the crime scene? So through a lot of detective work, they were able to pinpoint a location, but when they got there and when the evidence techs got there, they were in for quite a surprise. A piece of evidence, however, they were able to find there, a piece of chewing gum, actually helped crack that case. So we're going to have all of that and how all those intricate details came together coming up tonight at 6.
And a piece of chewing gum is the key piece of evidence.
It
wow.
really was.
All right, we're looking forward to that one. Thank you,
Shannon,
Mossy.
thanks. All right, later in the show, we'll explain how buying a certain type of beer can help a veteran.
And we'll meet a woman who's using her birthday to help some people very close to her heart.
Shannon, that was like very 2020.
I know.
It was like I didn't
That was so good. It's
perfect.
What's the show that's on at night?
And I called you Mossy. I didn't even think of it, sorry. Like, thanks, Mossy.
like I even noticed.
Yeah. No, I was intrigued. And then you said
I want to see it.
the chewing gum cracked the case. Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Well, I don't know.
Yes, I'm going to be live from the evidence lab.
Special 5 o'clock appearance by Shannon Moss, everyone. Tell you what, all the big stars want to be on now. All the big stars.
I know. I have my DVR set to record it if I miss it. Oh, here's a little promo for it.
Oh, there you go. That stuff fascinates me. Like that whole. Like,
It is so
the whole
fascinating.
NCIS like crime scene stuff and how you have no idea what happened and then you build it till you figure out what actually happened. Like that work is really, the forensic work is all fascinating to me.
The case that stands out to me in recent Maine memory is the case of Bangor, where there were the 3 people burned inside the car near actually where I worked at the time. And I think it was on Target Industrial Circle in Bangor, and the bodies were so burned that they couldn't identify them for a long time, so that took a while. And then same thing, where's the crime scene? They couldn't figure out where it happened, and so they used cell phone pings to triangulate the data, and they figured out where the crime happened through the cell phone pings of the 3 people involved. And it was just like wild, you know, one of those things you buckle your seatbelts for and you're along for the ride.
Yeah.
That was around the same time as Shannon's story. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Remind me, there's a story from like 6 or 7 years ago in Bangor that used cell phone pings to find the crime scene. Because they couldn't find the crime scene. It was like one of the craziest stories. It was the bodies found in the burned car on Target Industrial. It was right outside our station.
The story actually ended up cell phones because the cell phone's not pinging it, but others also helped crack this case, also eliminated 2 suspects.
Interesting.
Really viable suspects.
Yeah.
The cell phones were able to put them in places that they did not.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a good story idea.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, exactly. Follow up. More tickets were punched to the regional finals in basketball today.
And this is a time of year where sports anchors pretty much have clothes and a half a sandwich in the front seat of the car because you're going from venue to venue to venue to venue to venue. So Jess, I think, just finished the sandwich and she's down at the Cross Insurance Arena.
Yeah, you guys can see the bags under my eyes probably too, but hey, it's a fun week. Love to be here. Welcome to the very empty Cross Insurance Arena. That's because we are between games right now. The B girls were on the floor earlier. They've just opened the doors for fans to come in to watch the B boys who will be playing tonight. So just want to give you an update. Earlier today, first game on the floor was Freeport girls taking on Cape Elizabeth. And that one had a very exciting finish. It went to overtime, but the Freeport Falcons are headed to their 2nd consecutive regional final with the 49-42 overtime win over Cape Elizabeth. The next game was top-seeded Gray New Gloucester taking on Wells, and the Patriots handled business, moving on 48-34. So that will be your regional final matchup, Gray against Freeport. And then we have the boys who are coming in tonight, guys. So we'll have that update for you on New Center Maine at 11 o'clock. And coming up on New Center Maine at 6 o'clock, I dive into some more highlights, plus a change to the Sea Dogs that you're going to see in 2019. Lee and Lindsay?
Very interesting. Curious to know what that's all about.
I'm just ready to start talking about baseball.
I know, those
Please,
spring
give me
thoughts.
baseball, yeah.
Can we be doing our live show right now down at Hadlock Field? That'd be nice.
When it's warmer, yeah.
All right, question for you guys at home and question for you. When you know the snow's coming and you park your car, do you put the windshield wipers up or do you leave them down? We want to know what you do, so join the conversation right now.
And if you want to know what the weather is going to be, well, you got to watch this guy. Okay, what's up? Pick one. Pick one. That's not the same.
So yeah, it turns out we're going to find out the answer. What's better to do? Windshield wipers down or up? You leave them down?
I do.
I leave them down too, but Clay makes a point of putting them up. So.
And when you say up, you mean like he pulls them off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that.
And it's easier to scrape, I guess, but.
I don't do it.
I don't do it either. I also am guilty of buying that spray bottle that like melts the ice instead of having to like put muscle into it. You ever buy that stuff?
No, but what's wrong with that?
It's, I don't know.
No, but my car
awesome.
happened to, I don't know how this happened because I don't have like Carson money, but my car came with a starter. It just, so I start the car. Like I always will start the car 10 minutes before I go get in it, and then it's generally, I can scrape it a lot easier.
It's a game changer.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's an electric car.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
You're saying about
Yeah.
little noise they make.
Right.
You just have a guy who would like slide up next to me. He lives in our building, and you don't hear it unless there's like leaves or something.
He's like creeping on you.
You're just like, hey.
Right.
Yeah, but then if he beeps, he goes meh meh. You get one of those.
Have you ever
It
driven
could be a
one?
self-driving car.
You wish. Lee, imagine how much more
Dude,
you get
just
done.
stop.
I know.
You've got a lot to do.
I would be so worried.
You have so many children to
You
chauffeur,
got deals to close. You could just be in the car.
and so many kids
we
to
going
chauffeur.
anyplace?
I think we're going to the newsroom.
Oh, God. Are you just leaving?
Yeah, I'm just.
Lindsay's
I'm
had
peacing
enough.
out.
That's
Bye,
it.
guys.
She's out of here.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I didn't mean to tease you, Lindsay. Sorry, I take it all back. Isaac just reminded me I'm not allowed to do that.
Oh my goodness.
To do what?
Tease Lindsay. No. Isaac told me he can't. Okay, so I didn't split this.
That's fine.
How do you want to do it?
You just.
Well, but there's some pronounceable
Yeah.
situations here.
Plural.
Plural.
Why don't I take it from here? Aaron is expected to make a full recovery. Are you okay with that?
It's fine.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a Vosoc kind of day. My goodness.
A woman from Wales is using her birthday to give back to some people who went out of their way to save her son's life. Mary Beth Patnode is asking her friends and family to donate to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. Just 6 weeks ago, her 14-year-old son Aaron was fighting for his life in the pediatric intensive care unit after being admitted for what was thought to be pneumonia. It turned out Aaron had a rare and almost fatal infected chest cavity known as pleural emphysema. He underwent 3 emergency surgeries to remove the infection, spent 8 days hospitalized at BBCH. Aaron is expected to make a full recovery, but his mom is using the My Miracle birthday program to raise money for the people who helped save her son.
Well, I think the main message is I'm so grateful to the pediatric critical care team at Maine Medical Center for saving him. And I just feel like I'd like to get them the recognition that they deserve for what they did. They have such a great, the pediatric intensive care unit team is amazing, and I just wanted to give back.
Mary Beth says she raised about $700 for the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital through the My Miracle Birthday platform. You can learn more about that by going to Maine Medical Center's website.
Pretty cool concept. And very selfless to give up your birthday stuff for someone else.
Oh.
Would you do that?
Sure. I'm not a big birthday person, actually.
No?
And it's not just because I'm old now. Like, I was never...
I'm with you. I
like
don't love
holidays
my
that
birthday.
everybody celebrates.
I like other people's birthdays. I just don't
You do.
usually love
You're a
mine,
giver.
So,
You're a giver.
We're both
That's something about
Leos.
you.
We got that going.
What am I?
When's
I'm
your
gonna go with
birthday?
Cancer.
March 20th.
Oh, I don't know what
Yeah.
that
Oh
is.
boy, anybody want to Google that?
Coco. Some close
gonna get
birthdays.
into
We'll get you the answer when you come back.
Can
Ask
Coco
now.
and I have a combined birthday party as long as we have the jumper with the ball, the bouncy balls and everything?
Okay.
March?
Dad, come on.
One token only.
All right.
March
43
sign.
for a high today. So after the snow, I'm what?
Aries.
I'm Aries. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. You can tell I'm a horoscope kind of guy. 43 in Portland, 41 in Sanford. We cleared out, warmed up, and melted pretty much all the snow that fell, which wasn't a lot. 1.5 to 2.5 inches is what most of us ended up with. A couple of snow showers into the mountains right now, and they're staying to rain up on the western slopes here, but they could pick up a 1/2 inch to 1 inch more of accumulation there, where it's welcome. It'll die down, though, the snow showers tonight. After that, it's clear. Tomorrow's a beautiful day. A lot of sunshine. A lot of snow, so a bright day. Temperatures in the mid and upper 30s. And then Saturday looks good as well. First half especially looks sunny. We might cloud up in the afternoon, although the timing is such that we could get most of the day in before we start seeing any clouds, and it might be around sunset. Here comes our next storm system. I'm going to switch computer models to show you what this storm is likely to do late Saturday in through Sunday because I like this one a little bit better. So here we are, 5 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock we start overspreading the state with snow. It will be snow initially, and it will be heavy snow for a lot of us. Temperatures right around freezing. Now the key to this storm is it's got more moisture than today's. It's a bigger storm. It's more dynamic though. And so the rain-snow line is going to try to move onshore, and some of the models have it really warm along the coast and give us almost no snow. However, I think in the situation we're in with north winds draining down cold air, we'll get into a cold air damming situation and have a hard time scouring out that cold air at the surface. And so I'm going a little colder than models are forecasting here with the snow. Stays all snow in the mountains and the foothills and across northern Maine, and then it wraps up late on Sunday night. So again, this is colder than a lot of the models are showing, 3 to 6 along the coast, changing over to rain, so it's really heavy stuff after that, and then 6 to 8 across the interior and 8 to 12 into the mountains where the jackpot will be, and it will be a fluffier snow in those spots. But this is certainly one, and they're all kind of like this, but especially this, where tomorrow you want to check in with Corey and Ryan, because it's going to be very close along the coast as to whether or not this is a big deal or not a big deal. So keep an eye on that after that quiet and colder on Wednesday, which is unfortunate. One thing I've liked about this pattern this week is, yes, we've had snow events, but when it's 40 right after, it's irrelevant. Sure. And so it's been a nice little pattern. It turns colder next week. But again, watch the storm on Sunday. It's going to be impactful one way or another.
All right, I'm with you on this horoscope thing. I don't know the whole astrology. I don't think it's very accurate. Like Aries says, for example, that Aries have strong opinions and personalities, and they need to be number one. Clearly, that is not.
No, that's supposed to be mine?
That's no way. They're so off with it.
Toss it.
Just awful.
I love it. Meanwhile, we're Leos, and we love to be the center of attention.
Just saying.
Okay.
Okay. Should you leave your wipers up or down? The debate continues.
If you've ever scraped your way out of a parking spot this time of year, chances are you fall into one of two camps.
Blades down.
Always blades up.
Should be blades up.
Most of the time down. If anything, I might have to slap it a few times.
But is slapping or standing actually better? We went to AAA Minneapolis for an answer.
AAA does not have an official stance on this issue. We do like to point out that if you put them up though, like some of these cars behind me, you have an easier time clearing lots of snow off of your windshield.
You also steer clear of freezing your wipers to your windshield and the pain that comes with it.
If you rip it out too soon, the whole blade rips apart and then you have nothing. That's the most frustrating.
But that doesn't mean that standing tall doesn't have its downsides.
Now, this one's a little weak already. I can kind of barely move it.
Tyler Dolch with Bobby and Steve's Auto World says pulling up your blades can weaken tension springs and lead to streaky windows.
You don't want to be that person looking like that with going 60 miles an hour down the highway.
He says a few days won't hurt, but watch the weather.
If it's going to be extremely windy, I'd leave them down personally. If it's not, go ahead and leave them up.
No one ever told me that. That's an interesting concept. I have not run into it yet, but I can see the thinking.
But
I still think this is nicer at the end of a day. It's cold and you want to get home.
In other words,
tomatoes, it's just a different point of view. My wife does it, but I'm not my wife, so I leave mine down for that reason. So.
Yeah, sticking with down.
So there's really no right answer there.
Nope,
up to the
whatever
driver.
Whatever you do is correct for you. How about that?
Very good.
All right, kind of a simple concept. Buy a beer, help a veteran. Chris Costa here to explain how another Maine brewery is raising money for veterans.
Lee and Lindsay, you know that this is a topic that I'm passionate about, craft beer, but also helping veterans. Banded Brewing in Biddeford is releasing its At Ease Stout today. 10% of the profits from the sale of this beer will go to the Veterans Count Maine chapter, which provides money to service members when no other resources are available. Now, the Black Ale Project essentially bridges the gap between breweries and charities, and it's run by a former Marine. The At Ease is the 67th beer that the Black Ale Project has coordinated nationwide and the 9th in Maine. For Banded Brewing founder Ian McConnell, many of his employees are veterans, and his family's history of military service made this beer and its name an important project.
They want to hear At Ease, whether it's at the end of an attention or the end of a day or something. And, hopefully just the work we did with this beer can ease people's problems to a small degree.
It means a lot to me personally, obviously, as a veteran and as someone who's passionate about helping veterans, and I could not do it, as I said, without the support of brewers and without the support of the craft beer community.
The charity Veterans Count has offices throughout New England, and this past January alone distributed nearly $6,000 to Maine veterans for a variety of services. Now, 4 more Maine breweries are already signed up to brew a beer for the Black Ale Project. So Lee and Lindsay, it's a very cool concept of bringing together these charities and breweries to help out veterans.
I feel like we'll be getting a first-hand account on how that beer actually is when Chris returns from his weekend. So
cheers to that.
I feel like we'll hear about that. All right, thank you, Coco. Appreciate it.
A lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Let's check in with Cindy for a preview. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. A lot of people work long hours at their jobs, but probably not as long as plow truck drivers during the winter months. We're going to find out if the long hours pose a safety risk on the road. And donations are pouring in from across the world to help the family of a 4-year-old girl in desperate need of a new set of lungs. Those stories and more ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, Cindy, thanks so much. Stick with us. Braindrops when we come back. Do your kids play the game Captain on Deck? It's like Simon Says.
I'm going to say no.
Coco, have you heard the game Captain on Deck? It's like Simon Says. It's like a game you can play with like gym classes or like young athletes or whatever. It's kind of like a warm-up game. But it's like Simon Says. So you do something, you say Captain on Deck, and then everybody has to go like this, and then you wait for the command. But the leader has to say, you know how they have to say Simon Says? They have to say at ease. And if they don't say Captain on Deck and then at ease, and you do the motion, then you're out.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that. I like that.
So there's like
paying attention.
Exactly. But every time you said at ease, I'm like, at ease. Oh, I can do the motion. And then I'm like, oh, we're not playing the game. We're not playing the game.
Paul.
I did too.
Let me find that condition.
Plural
short
BM.
Yeah,
I'm so close.
It was plural something. The description of it's kind of gross. If you guys are reading right now, sorry. It presents just like bronchitis or pneumonia, where you've got trouble breathing and you've got kind of a phlegmy stuff going on in your chest. But it really excels quickly into this disease, which is very rare, and it fills your lung. Sorry again if you're eating. It fills your lung with pus. And it can get infected super quickly. And if it's not recognized and identified and treated, it could turn into sepsis, which is obviously very deadly. So this woman is so grateful that they were able to not just say, oh, it's probably bronchitis and give her an antibiotic and out the door, that they recognized it, they operated immediately, and ultimately her 14-year-old son's life was saved. So it's a very rare condition, but it did happen to this young man. So there you go.
Yeah. Sad stuff. A lot of you guys are talking about the birthday thing, how it's for kids.
That is crazy.
I don't necessarily believe that. I'm not against birthdays. I don't know.
Yeah.
From like, Peter, what do you want to do on your birthday? I want to be home and hanging out with my kids. I want my kids to not leave and go off on their merry way. Like, I want to spend some time, like Father's Day. Like, I don't want them home. Go play golf for 8 hours without my kids. I want to be with my kids. That's why it's Father's Day. So
100%.
It's kind of. No, the birthday is my day, but yes,
Sarah,
I'll hang out with Coco on my birthday. That's what I want to do. Next year, I want to hang out with Coco on my birthday. We've got a story. We've got a story before Keith, I think. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, we've got something before you.
Okay.
You gonna get started?
Sure.
Messenger yelling. Here we go.
Oh, I love this today. A special moment as a hero pilot meets a special service dog. It happened this morning on the Today Show as airline captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, the heroic pilot from the Miracle on the Hudson, and his namesake Sully, the late President George H.W. Bush's loyal service dog, came face to face for the first time.
Sully meets Sully. Isn't that cool?
I know.
That's awesome.
Sweet boy.
When Sally met Sally. Sully met Sully. Should be a movie.
Should be. They should think of that. Hey, today's brain drops. I've been asked this many times, but it came from Chris Costa's father, Mark. Sent me this question.
Dr. Mark.
Just so we're clear. Dr. Mark E. Costa. I'm sorry.
It's Dr. Mark.
Sent me this.
Okay.
And let's roll it. And we'll talk about it after.
I get this question a lot. Why does damp cold feel worse than dry cold? At first you might think it's the water in the air, of course, but that's not really accurate. See, the problem is cold air holds a very small amount of water vapor to begin with. So at 15 degrees and 20% relative humidity, a kilogram of air only contains 0.36 grams of water. and even at 100% relative humidity, that number is 1.8 grams. Now during the summer, when it's around 85, that same 20% parcel holds 5.5 grams of water and rockets up to almost 30 grams of water at 100%. But it's hard to make the argument that 1.5 gram difference in water vapor could impact your body to a noticeable degree. But it happens, right? Well, the answer lies more in the clothing we wear during the winter. If you're outside in damp air with a temperature of 32 degrees, your clothes will start to moisten over time at a rate that's faster than your skin. That'll create a wicking effect via conduction and act to transfer your body heat away from you more efficiently, cooling you faster. And here's another twist. It's possible most of us are misassociating damp for cloudy. A British study found that people reported a damp, cold feeling on days that, as a result, were mostly cloudy. Meanwhile, they felt warmer on dry days that tended to be sunny. That sunshine, of course, can raise your apparent temperature by over 5 degrees. So it's probably the clouds and your clothes that make you feel colder on damp winter days.
What do you think? Is it looking okay?
I think you've got a future.
Yeah.
That's a question I get a lot, though, from fishermen and whatnot.
Good question.
So,
Dr. Costa,
Dr. Costa, coming in.
Love it. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now. Bye, guys.
It's a good question.